Gentlemen, the political deadlock in your country continues to make international headlines. We're seeing African Union intervention, calls from the international community for Mr. Laurent Gbagbo to step down. There's fears that the civil war might break out, that military intervention, all this is riding out in the air. Mr. Sessegnon, what's the situation like at the moment? What is Mr. Laurent Gbagbo's stand at the moment?
Well, Laurent Gbagbo has always been willing to resolve the situation in a very peaceful way, has always done it through the different negotiations that took place even before the elections. So as far as the resolution of the conflict is concerned, I think he has spoken to Mr. Odinga on how, on his side, how the situation could be resolved. We yet don't have the content of that discussion, but I believe that when Mr. Odinga left him, he said that he had already agreed on certain points with President Gbagbo, and that he was going to listen to Mr. Outtara on where he stands and how he thinks that the crisis would be resolved. But after saying that, you see, I'm sitting here with my brother Kone, and I'm not really happy about that. I believe that Kone and I should be sitting here and talk about how the best we can find ways of developing our country, how we can confront ideas on how to develop Côte d'Ivoire. Because as we sit here and we're quarreling, we're giving the impression, and we're really obeying the wishes of France and the colonial powers on how they want us to fight, how they want us to tear apart our country so that they can have easy access to our resources. And this is really what is hurting us, we people from Laurent Gbagbo's side.
Mr. Sessegnon, on that point of wanting to develop Côte d'Ivoire, yes, development needs to take place, and you should be talking to each other on progress for Côte d'Ivoire. But the standing point or the point of conflict comes in is that we can only talk development if we adhere to democratic principles. And some people are saying that, you know, it is undemocratic and unconstitutional for Mr. Gbagbo to be to not be respecting, and I say that in inverted commas because that electoral commission results is a bit disputed. So to not be respecting that decision that Mr. Outtara is the winner or president of Côte d'Ivoire.
The notion of democracy, is it in acts or any proceeding democratic when a superpower imposed the rules and regulation on another country? Is it democratic when Ivorians say this is the person that we want us to be our ruler, and if a colonial power such as France says, no, that's not the one that we want. The one that we want is this one. Is that what we call democracy? Because in Côte d'Ivoire, when the elections took place, there are rules and regulations that are really set aside to govern those procedures. The Independent Electoral Commission, as you said in your introduction, failed to meet the deadline set aside by the Electoral Code. On top of that, they go to the headquarters of one of the candidates to declare the preliminary result. Third, those preliminary results are taken by an organization that was supposed to be impartial and declared all over the world those preliminary results, knowing that in that country the constitution says that when elections are held, the preliminary results and the final results are given by the Constitutional Council. Only then we consider those results as final, and then they can be validated.
Mr. Kone, Sakaria?
Thank you very much, yes, Jenny, for this wonderful opportunity that you are offering us. Indeed, it's right that we should be talking about development of our country instead of talking about now the issue of elections. It's quite sad what is happening in Côte d'Ivoire. We thought we were very excited that the elections would pave the way for development. I'm sure that he shared the view with me. He was part of the Electoral Commission here in South Africa, so we understand quite clearly what was the expectation of the Ivorians. But I want to come back to the issue that you raised with regard to the result and the electoral commissions and the role of the UN and the role of France. You know, I'm very saddened by the statement that that makes us look that some portion of Ivorians are puppets or are following the instruction from France. I don't believe that. I disagree totally with that, because as far as I know, there is no single French citizen that voted in the election. And secondly, there was no French citizen in the electoral campaign or in the electoral staff of Ouattara. Only Mr. Gbagbo has Jean de Lang, who was a former minister of France, who was even part of who came to support him. And on top of that, there have been several opinion polls organized by Gbagbo. All those opinion polls were held in France. So that tells you that there is somewhere here a duplicity here. When it suits you, it's okay. When it doesn't suit you, it's not okay. Now, having said that, I want to come back to the issue of electoral commissions. The electoral code says that the electoral commissions declare the result within 3 days. But it doesn't say past those 3 days, the Constitutional Council can authorize itself. Because what happened, the electoral commissions declare the preliminary result and then forward the preliminary result to the Constitutional Court, which declare the final result. That is one thing. The second thing is the issue of the date within which, you know, they say 3 days. But the first round, I remember very well, in the first round, the result could not be proclaimed in 3 days. It was the 4th day, early in the morning. I remember I was sitting in front of my TV up to midnight. The results were not coming. I went to bed. So that was done. And then, after, let me finish, because he was given also a bit of time. An opportunity. So we also, how the Electoral Commission was prevented from declaring the result. And secondly, when we talk about constitutions, we must also abide to what the rules and the regulation of the constitution says. Because the chairperson of the Constitutional Council his decision was illegal in the sense that after nullifying 7 regions, it declared Gbagbo winner. But what does what you call the constitution, the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Code says? If there is a dispute within a grave dispute that will fundamentally change the result, the Constitutional Council nullify the result and call for election within 45 days. And the Electoral Commission now submit proposal on those days, which will be now approved by the Ministerial Council. So this is the situation. So the issue of gripping to the Constitutional Court, I think, the Constitutional Council rather is a dangerous precedent that we are trying to set, that you can use the Constitutional Council to really manipulate the result.
All right.